Hi everyone, Finks here, and today I'm going to show you how to build this circular portal hub on Valheim. This is what it looks like from the outside. It follows the same design all the way around, and on the inside it has this big open space with the birch tree coming through it, and I think it's quite different in terms of the kind of builds you normally see on Valheim, because I think that a lot of them tend to look the same because we're kind of limited on building components, but I think this is quite different. And I really like how it's turned out. It has space for 7 portals around the outside, and I've signposted all of these. Before we get started, if you do like the video throughout, please do leave it a like. It lets other people who like similar content to yourself find the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Having said all that, let's jump into the video. So as with a lot of other builds, the first thing you're going to need when you start off is a space big enough to actually build the thing. So with this build, what you can either do is find a birch tree that you like, or any tree that you like the look of, clear the space around it, and then what you can do is grab one of your wood beams, find out, kind of connect it to where you think the center would be, so maybe around here, and then if you just come like 5 out, and then you'll get where you want your sort of the front of your entrance would be, which will be your starting point. Or if you just want to clear a space and then plant a birch tree later, basically just choose where you want your starting point to be, and I'm going to mark it with one of these dark wood beams. So once you have that, you can just start to do one rotation per dark wood beam, and just do this all the way around until you have a big circular shape. Where you have your entrance, you're going to want to add in stone stairs here and here. So once you have that in, you can actually just take away that starting beam. We don't really need that anymore. And the next thing I'm going to do is just get sorted on the foundation. So I'm going to use the stone floor and build a 3x2 shape at the entrance like this. And then we're going to miss a dark wood beam here, and then do the same again for the next section. Miss one, and we'll do the same again on the next one, and do this all the way around the structure until you have this shape. Now if you decided to just clear the space and you need to plant your own birch tree, I recommend doing so at this stage. And how I would do this is by getting a wood beam 2 meter, placing 2 out into the center there, and then if you just come out ever so slightly from when it stops protruding the beam here, you can plant it in here, and that will pretty much be the center of the structure right there, more or less. You're not really going to get it more exact than that. At this stage we can start to build up the way, so we'll grab the stone wall 2x1s, and then just to put a stagger in, we'll use the 1x1, and then 2 more 2x1s at the top. Then I'm going to grab the darkwood pole 4 meters, and we want it to clip at flush with the top of this, like this, so make sure you're not putting it its full length. You just want to build it 3 blocks high, darkwood beam 4 meter along the top and either side, and then we just take that back to the end of the stone floor here. And I like to kind of frame it off with the 26-degree beams and then the 4 meter beams going back from that. So we're going to do this for every single one of these stone floor bay areas except from the entrance here. With all the bays done, the only thing we need to do now is the entrance structure. So we're going to follow a similar idea with the framing of the stone floor. For the door section itself, I'm going to use a wood wall on either side, then a wood wall half, and to get the center point between these two, I'm going to use the wood beam 1 meter, and then I can place in the wood gates on either side. With this now done, we have all the lock points we need to finish off the dark wood poles around the outside. And what we want it to be is we want it to be flush with this wall and the bottom one here. So this would be correct. If you did it like this in line with this one, then that would not be correct. And go all the way around the outside, and whilst you're doing this, start placing dark wood beam 2 meters across the top frame like this, so that it protrudes outwards. For the exterior walls, I'm going to show you these 2 bays here, and then it's just going to be repeating that around the outside of the structure. So we're going to grab the wood wall halves and place that all the way along the bottom. We'll frame that off with the dark wood beam 4 meters, and then we're also going to do one across the front of the stone and along the top of both bays. So in this open section, I'm going to use the carved dark wood dividers. And you can rotate these and sort of alternate them because the design does change, but to be honest I don't think it makes that much difference, so I'm just going to leave it. And then we'll have the darkwood pole 2 meters to create this cross. And once we're back to the entrance, we can put the frame across the top, and using the darkwood 2 meters we'll line the top of this and then use the pole for the vertical way. Same on the other side. The only difference being we also need to have the protrusion here. So we're going to also snap onto the snap point created by the door to have something like this on either side. You should now be left with this structure here, and as you can see it's coming together quite nicely here. So what we need to do now is we can start putting in the detail of the portals and the signposts. So if we grab our portals, what I like to do is you can see there's sort of a protrusion at the front of the portal, and I just like to line this up with the lines on the bottom from the stone floor, and we can place that in and put a sign behind it. So I like to put the sign in between the middle of this block here, but as you can see, sometimes it kind of renders through like this, which is fine, I guess, but not ideal. So use the vertical item stand, place this on the back, and then you can place the sign in front of that. And as you can see, the whole sign will now be visible. We can put in, I don't know, like mistlands here, and yeah, that's it done. So do that for the rest of the base. So with all the portals in, it's going to look exactly like this. And if you are still watching and enjoying the video at this stage, please do like and subscribe. For the roof itself, we actually need to create snap points for the roof pieces to snap onto. So I'm going to use the wood floor 1x1, and in between the two protruding beams that we made earlier, I can just place in 4 wood floor 1x1s and do the same again for these open sections. Make sure to do this all the way around the structure, and once you have and you're at this stage, you can also place in a wood floor 2x2 above the door here, and then frame that off using the dark wood beam 4 meters. So now we're going to start off with the roof shingle 26 degrees, and we're just going to go around full outside of the structure, and we'll be using the front end of this wood floor here to lock onto. For this part, it's really important that you get the snap points right, because otherwise when you get to the top sections, it's going to start looking really wrong. So make sure you're lining up these roof sections correctly. The way you can tell is that when they're highlighted, you should just have these upper corners overlapping, and if it looks like a lot of it's overlapping like this one, then you know it's probably not locked onto the right spot. The second layer of roof is going to be the 45 degrees, and the way you can tell that these ones are locked on is that the middle line of the top panel should be matching the middle line of the bottom panel. So go ahead and go around to the full perimeter. You'll know if you've done it right, because firstly it should look like mines, but it also should just look generally quite neat. Because if you've done it right, you're not really overlapping too much at this stage. So double check that all your lines are matching up here, and then the next stage would be to grab your shingle roof 45 degree ridge section, and rather than connect it onto the end, we're going to just have it so the ridge is at the top of the previous piece. Again, we're going to be making use of these lines on the bottom to make sure that we're getting it into the right spot. With the roof ridge done, it will be looking like this. Now, you can either leave it at this stage. The only reason I add another bit on is because I hate when wooden components like this are left unsheltered and they start to degrade over time, and you have to come around and repair them. If you don't really care about that, because I know a lot of people don't care about that in their builds, then you can leave it like this. If you don't want it to look like that, then I recommend grabbing the shingle roof 26 degrees and doing one last lap around the inside perimeter of the roof. At this stage it does start to get quite difficult, so what you can do is just use the 2 panels above the portals as locking points, and then you'll just be left with this little small gap here. But honestly, it's not really that noticeable from either side, and it still does provide the cover that we need for the bottom sections. So if you made it this far, then this is the structure pretty much complete. We just need to add some decorations. At this stage, if your tree still hasn't grown, then you'll just have to wait some time before carrying out this next step, because depending on which tree you've chosen, it might require more space after adding these stone stairs in. But we're just going to snap onto the back stone floors here, go all the way around the outside, placing in these stone stairs. You can find out just by waiting a couple minutes after we've placed these to see if it still stays healthy here. Looks like mine is healthy. I like to place some grass in the middle here, and someone in one of my last videos said I should try out these Diverger poles, and I actually really like them, so I'm going to use this lantern pole here. Where I like to place them is just in this little back wall section, and as soon as it clicks onto the bottom, just place it in. I'm just noticing now that we haven't put these banisters back to the door, so we're going to want to do that as well. So that was with the darkwood 26 degrees, and then the darkwood 4 meters. We're going to use the Verger wall lanterns on the outside here, and I just like to place them on this top lock point on these stone walls. At the front, we're going to go back to the lantern poles and just place one at either side of the entrance. Something I've done before as well is use the darkwood beam 4 meters to put a trim around the outside like this, and also the darkwood beams place a sort of a decorative protrusion on the outside here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and it's going to be 2 at either section and the darkwood beam 4 meters along the edge. Now that I've gone around the full outside of the structure, this is what it looks like. And on the inside, I've now given some time for the tree to grow. And if you don't like the spawn of the tree, as you can see, this is a birch tree here. It's not very tall, and it has 2 branches. These ones here, for example, are a lot taller. This one's a lot thinner, and they come in different seeds. So if you don't like the one that you have in the middle of yours, I recommend just cutting it down, planting a new one, and just waiting enough time to see what it looks like. I think this one looks okay because it has quite a lot of branches, so I'm going to leave this like this. But if you don't, you can just cut it down and plant a new one and hope for a new seed. So hopefully you liked the video. If you did and you're still watching at this stage, I'm going to assume you found some value in it. So please do leave it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to support the channel further, you can join as a member to receive additional benefits. You can do that by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one, and have fun.